Hello, everyone. Thank you for that wonderful introduction and the high energy session by Samir earlier. Real pleasure to be here, in this August gathering today, and to really start us off on the provocative topic that's been chosen today, which is Gen AI is not enough. Now, the topic that I have chosen, drawing from that theme, is what I call the innovation multiplier, right? And it's really about how the convergence of AI, data engineering, cloud, and exponential technologies is really creating the new frontier for transformation. Now, transformation is not new in information technology, right? We have, all of us, lived our lives through multiple transformations, right? There's been transformation of infrastructure, there's been transformation of applications, transformation of services. What makes this different? And why should we sit up and take notice, right? And my submission to you, and we will go through, of course, the discussion, in the course of the discussion, that this is something different. We are actually at the cusp of something different. A few days ago, as all of you know, the Nobel Prize was announced. And 2 of those Nobels actually went to researchers doing work in the field of AI, right? And that's one of the reasons why I felt that it begs a discussion not only on Gen AI, but on AI as a whole. Because when we really look at the spectrum of what AI is achieving, just to take an example, one of the Nobels that went to 𝗀𝗲𝗃 has for the invention of the 𝗪𝗲𝗋𝗀, which actually promises to predict how protein structures behave in the cell structure of DNA, and that can actually have the potential to really accelerate medicine discovery by many, many times. This kind of work is being done with AI, right? So while generative AI is the most visible and the most talked about aspect of the AI revolution, what's happening in the larger field of AI and what has been happening is far deeper and more groundbreaking. So I've taken the liberty of really widening that field and talking about the field of AI as a whole. Now, if you look at that's my first slide. So if you look at the evolution of innovation in human history, right? And this is, of course, not news to anyone, but I always find that when one talks about path-breaking change, it helps to take a step back and take a historical perspective of times when human innovation has really broken the boundaries and created really disruptive innovation and also a far more wide-ranging impact on the societies and the economies of that time, right? And if you really look back, really the 4 industrial revolutions, we are standing on the cusp of the 4th now. The Industrial Revolution, which happened when steam power, mechanization, steel production, railroad building, all of that came together to really create an environment for the Industrial Revolution to happen, right? Move forward to what is, second Industrial Revolution, the age of electricity and mass production, where mass production techniques, specifically improvements in the mass production of things like the automobile, really introduced a very different set of technologies that, again, propelled human innovation forward. Again, introducing a lot of changes in the way we conduct ourselves as a society and how we live our lives. All of us have lived through the information revolution, right, where the advent of the personal computer, the smartphone, and associated technologies really created that great leap forward. And now we are standing at the cusp of the age of AI, right? And that's what makes this a very, very interesting juncture, right? Why this is not the same as any other technology that has come in the past, right? For each of these ages that we've talked about, it has been the convergence of multiple technologies that has created the disruptive innovation. And that's my submission to you. Because even if you look at the rise of the personal computer, it happened because of changes in hardware, in software, and of course, the very important graphical user interface. It wasn't a question of one technology that was maturing in isolation. It was actually a convergence of technologies that all reached a tipping point that created that innovation, created the personal computer as we know it. Similarly, the convergence of tech that created the smartphone, right? So talking about sensors, processors, all of that technology coming together with mobile connectivity that could give us a smartphone revolution. And we have all experienced in our lifetimes how that revolution has changed our lives and continues to change our life. So again, my submission to you is that the convergence of tech is what creates an unprecedented frontier, right? And standing here today in the age of AI, we are looking at generative AI. We're looking at the host of technologies that, of course, AI brings. We're looking at data and obviously how that feeds into AI and the conclusions that AI drives. We're looking at cloud computing, which means that for an organization, you can have AI power on tap at a level that was absolutely unprecedented before. And along with that, we have a whole host of exponential technologies. So whether you talk about 3D printing, you talk about renewable energy, you talk about robotics, you talk about advances in biotechnology. If you actually really look at it and look at the pattern of how these things are going, you realize we are, in fact, at a time when a lot of these technologies are reaching what is called the tipping point. And that's what makes all of us here today and this discussion so topical, because we truly are in a place that is unprecedented in human history and yet has shown that a similar convergence can create path-breaking change for human history, for human societies going forward. So coming back to what is really the impact of all of this exponential technologies, the whole umbrella term, on enterprises. And I have worked most of my life, serving enterprises in India and abroad on their technological journeys. And it's very interesting to see how some of the technology adoption that has happened in the past is going to be different from what happens in the future. And I think all of us know this, right? In the past, it has been technology decisions that have been very taken after a lot of debate. There has been a robust decision-making process. In a year, perhaps 1 or 2 major technology adoptions that have been decided, and it has been done with a view to ensure robustness of operation, to ensure sanctity of data, and of course, an absolutely secure environment, right? But we are now at a stage where technologies are maturing extremely fast. I was discussing with my fellow speakers in the speakers lounge. Just this morning, I looked at a new company called HeyGen that has really released an innovation about how you can have an avatar appear on your Zoom calls instead of you, right? And that's just one example. So right from the Nobel Prize to innovations like this, the technology is moving extremely fast. So what does this ability give us? If I have to take a very broad term, it's very rapid prototyping. So we all complain about the speed of our lives. Well, get ready for the speed of our lives to get really, really faster, because any idea, any design can be taken to fruition much, much faster. It's about data-driven decision-making, having data at a level and at a latency that's been far, far higher than what we've had before, low latency, and really in-the-minute decision-making driven by data. Something that I think has been a kind of a North Star. All organizations have worked towards it, but I don't think we have been within really reaching distance of that North Star before today. And of course, enhance efficiency, but also real disruptions in the business model. And that's what I think this exponential tech, and as we have seen in the past, all of this brings disruption not only to the enterprise, but to the society at large. I'll just run through a few use cases. Again, this is not new for anyone in this room. People over here have been working on similar use cases. I'm sure a lot of us have worked on them most of our lives. But if you really look at financial services, just the initial conjoince of these technologies are creating opportunities for improvement in fraud detection, personalization to the customer, risk management, and insights in driving customer behavior, right? Now, just speaking from my example, we worked with a very large bank in India, just earlier this year, to say how can we bring intelligent workflows and AI to transform 3,500 back-end processes. Very, very ambitious project for the bank, but people are doing these kind of initiatives because they know that if they don't plan out and start on this pathway right now, very soon the technology is going to overtake them and move on to some other mean and some other medium, right? In healthcare, again, the kind of work that's being done abroad, especially, some of these use cases are taken from the Mayo Clinic, in advances in disease prediction, precision medicine, which is tailored to the patient, patient monitoring, and of course, drug discovery, which I mentioned before. Again, in India, there is interest in a lot of these things. There have been initiatives that have started on remote healthcare and how to use AI to really detect patient status remotely. But I think we still have to see a lot of this curve really play out in India. And of course, in retail, we've seen that, personalization in terms of recommendations, inventory management, enhanced customer experience, which I think has really been adopted, especially by the online retail industry in India, and continues to also move forward into the whole phygital format of retail. But if you really take a step back, my submission to you is that this is only the first step. This is only happening of the initial conjoince of AI, data engineering, cloud computing, and all of that coming together. If we even take a small step back and look at where this transformation is going, we can see that the changes in the next few years are going to be far deeper and far faster than what we have seen before. Right? Now, some of this is borrowed from my friend 𝗀𝗃𝗵 excellent article in the Mint that came out in the last month. And I'll just tell you a few of the ideas that he talks about. First of all, English is the new coding language. Now, we've seen this with the advent of Gen AI. Prompt engineering, how you ask the question, what you ask, and therefore the output you get is really important. But we're really looking at a situation where English becomes the main mode of translating your request, not into code, but into a request that can be answered by the AI and then either answered or actioned upon. So English is the new code. AI is the new UI, right? That in future, we are really envisaging a situation where you are able to really ask questions of the AI interface and get your data or your insights or your information back in the manner that you're actually looking at, right? So AI is definitely the new UI, the direction we're going. Agents are the new platform. Now, all of you, I'm sure, are aware of this whole excitement around agentic workflows, because we're really not talking about AI helping the human. We are actually talking about AI taking the action on behalf of the human. So we have a lot of major technology companies who are actually coming out now with agentic workflows, and it's not uncommon to imagine a situation in the future where you'll have companies that are run by AI agents with humans overseeing their work, right? So really taking even the execution out of human hands into AI hands. And the last one, which is again, I think, very interesting, that SaaS is the new SaaS. That SaaS as we know it, which is software as a service, is actually morphing into service as software. So it's not really about monolithic building blocks of software that you have to stitch together to provide a solution. It's really about how you provide the service itself that keeps the software in the background, and the service provision through AI becomes a seamless activity to the end user, right? So just standing here, like I said, just where we are, we have barely scratched the surface. But it will be a coming together of technologies across data, across cloud, across AI, all the various aspects of AI that's going to create this new revolution. So therefore, the question that I think we're here to debate and really ruminate on is, how should an enterprise chart its course? Now, in the past, like I said, enterprises have looked at business requirements. They've looked at their internal landscape. They've looked at technology landscape externally. They've looked at ROI. They've looked at the time to realize value from the investments, risk, reward, all of that, and then taken technology decisions, right? And all of those things are still true. However, right now, we are at a situation where, as an enterprise, the decisions on technology will be coming faster. They will be more critical to your competitive advantage, because some of these technologies carry that power of disruption. And therefore, your ability to chart your course, understand what's out there, and really deliver that strategic decision to your company as to where you should go becomes absolutely important. So I'm going to borrow this whole concept of technology tipping points from Bain. So Bain and Company have this framework, and I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with it, where you have a technology S-curve, and you have early adopters, early majority, late majority, and then laggards. Now, of course, nobody wants to be a laggard, but in India, in enterprise, we have been comfortable being either the early majority or the late majority. And I think that approach can still work. However, it is absolutely important that as an enterprise, you monitor a portfolio of technologies that are maturing at a very fast pace to understand what you need to invest in. When I meet technology executives, I'm always surprised by their surprise as to how fast technology is moving. So, every time we talk about an advance in AI, they'll say, hey, we could actually do that? Wow, I didn't know. And that's a very common reaction. But when you add that up over many different technologies which are maturing fast, right? There's advances in IoT, there's advances in robotics, advances in AI. It means that any organization is suffering from an information deficit of where technology is moving and what could be real changes that contribute to your competitive advantage. So being those eyes and ears, making sure that you're monitoring that portfolio of technologies that come together for your organization is absolutely important. The evaluation of emerging technologies. We may not always have the luxury of time to do a very detailed and complete ROI for every technology, just because the state of technology is changing very, very fast. What should those markers be? What should we look at? And a lot of this will depend on organization to organization, but speed is going to be of the essence. Whether you go to pilot, whether you want to go to a mid-sized implementation, whether you want to go at scale, the ability to decision fast on technology and to be very clear about the markers you're looking at is actually going to be a differentiator in your competitive advantage. And the last one, which is of course looking at the overall strategic approach, because at the end of the day, you still have to balance risk and reward, speed and caution, security and customer service, all of this in delivering your technology roadmap. But make this a competitive advantage and not something that becomes a drag on the organization, right? So I think that kind of brings me to the end of what I had to say. It's been an absolutely, thank you for listening to me so patiently, while I expounded my theories about the innovation multiplier. I will be around for the rest of the day, so if you have any questions, I look forward to having that discussion with you. Thank you.